Hello, Internet. Today's movie is a movie that, as me and Maverick put it, doesn't exist. Because nobody's ever fucking heard of it. Nobody's ever seemed to have seen it anytime I talk about it. Which is never good. It's not a good movie. This is a movie I wish didn't fucking exist because it's not good. Alright, this movie is just not fucking good. You just don't even bother trying to look it up. I'm gonna talk about the entire fucking thing as best I can because this movie's fucking terrible. It's a movie from the early 2000s that came out during the time when they were doing all the remakes like Texas Chainsaw, Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, I think the Rob Zombie Halloweens. There's a whole bunch of things that were coming out around this time, and you know, this was another one that was marketed as a slasher, but it's not a fucking slasher, and boy, we'll fucking get into it, but by the end of this, I'm going to get progressively more fucking mad, because this movie just is fucking frustrating. We're talking about Cry Wolf from 2005, and it's not a good fucking movie. Before we get into it, before I really lose my temper, I want to thank Dubby Energy, for giving us a sponsor here at the Oddcast. Go use code Oddcast, save yourself money off. They're constantly running deals on their flavors and bundles and different things, so go check them out, show us love, help save yourself money, and show us the love. Thank you. So anyway, our movie begins really just right off the bat. We have a young woman running through the woods. The only time someone actually has something happen to them, we'll get into it. But she's running in the woods, and she gets taken down by a killer with a gun because they call her phone and then find her, and they shoot her in the face. You think that tells you what this movie is, but boy, it sure fucking doesn't. But remember this opening, because it's important in the end. We then cut to our main character, Owen, who's been sent to a new boarding school by his father for causing a bunch of trouble in the public schools. He doesn't know where he's going. You know, he just kind of gets dropped off by a bus. So he ends up meeting up with one of our other main casts, Dodger, who's a troublemaking redhead.
Major drama. Some town he was screwing the wrong guy and she's gone missing. So the police are here to teach us about personal safety. Like, don't talk to strangers.
I'm Owen.
Dodger.
That's, unique.
But they finish meeting and they get caught by a teacher, and Owen covers for her by saying, "Oh, she's just showing me where the boys' dorm is. I'm new here." But then the assembly lets out because they're having an assembly about the woman that died and like, don't talk to strangers, blah, 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 be careful. And she kind of just ditches him, so he has to figure it out anyway. But he tries to call his father in the meantime, and his father puts him straight to voicemail. His father's a total dick throughout this entire fucking movie. Anytime he calls him, he just immediately is like, not important. And he just puts him to voicemail. There's even a point where he calls his father, and his father's like, it's just my son. And puts him to voicemail. Like, total fucking dick. But anyway, he ends up lying to his father about, I'm a teacher's assistant, when in fact he's actually a janitor. But he makes it to his dorm, and we meet Tom, who's played by Jared Padalecki. Like, the casting in this movie, not terrible casting, just a really bad fucking movie. But then we cut over to that night, and Tom wakes Owen up and invites him out, and he's like, hey, Dodger wanted me to bring you along. They're going over to the local chapel because they play a little game called Cry Wolf, which is a game that most of us probably know is Werewolf or some other form of that name where like someone's a wolf in the crowd and everyone else has to figure out who it is. And we meet the rest of the group, Mercedes, Regina, Graham, Randall, and Lewis, the group of friends that will be part of this whole entire movie.
Is someone going to tell me how to play?
It's a lying game. The object, avoid suspicion. Manipulate your friends. Eliminate your enemies. Have a seat. I'm gonna secretly pick one person in the group to be a liar, the wolf. And everyone else is a sheep. If you can find the wolf and convince the rest of the group to vote him out, then the money is yours. If the wolf survives, the cash is theirs.
Yeah, well, in the end, Owen ends up winning all the money, being able to lie the best, and he calls out people like Graham drinking an empty beer, and they call him out, and basically he just makes everyone work against each other because they all know each other so well, and he points that out. But anyway, cutting into the next morning, Tom pranks Owen by turning off his alarm and telling him, "Hey, did you sleep well?" But he ends up getting to class late. But Professor Walker tells him, if being late's the worst you do in your first week, you're doing all right. And it's played by none other than fucking John Bon Jovi's the fucking professor in this movie.
Does a reporter just go for the story? Or can we, as the media, cover a tragedy like this with both sensitivity and respect?
Yeah, but Owen ends up getting an instant message, which really fucking dates this movie, because before texting was big, everyone was all about that AOL Instant Messenger, which is the majority of what this movie uses for people communicating. And it turns out Dodger's messaging him about, hey, we're thinking about doing another game tonight, blah, blah, blah. And we cut to the lunchroom, and Randall talking to Tom about borrowing his convertible because he wants to take a woman out tonight. And they talk about that maybe they won't play another game because they all know each other a little too well, and, maybe it is time to just stop. And Dodger brings up, what about changing up the game? And they'll play it with the entire school. And Owen gets in on the idea, and they make an entire story about a serial killer who killed the woman of the town. And they make up an entire story, and everyone catches up with each other, and they start putting together pieces of it, of how different kills that he's done and yada yada. But then Owen and Dodger, they go down and they start writing about this killer themselves.
On ski masks.
Orange doesn't exactly inspire fear.
Come on, it's the new black.
Okay. There are plenty of deer hunters around here.
Give him a camo jacket, too.
What's his weapon of choice?
Well, the girl was shot.
Yeah, but a knife would be scarier.
Don't get me wrong, I love the phallic imagery, but serial killers rarely change their MO.
But don't you see? This is his pattern. Remember, this is not the first time our boy is struck.
So yeah, and then they explain it to the group, and the group starts adding in their own little details of different things. And then we get a montage of everyone at the school talking about this story that he emails out to everyone, and he's like, well, I didn't make it, I'm just forwarding it along. Because that totally won't come back to bite anyone in the ass. But anyway, it ends up making its way to the victim's family, who then sends it to the dean, and he gets pulled aside by Professor Walker, and he's like, look, I'm not going to tell him where it actually came from, whatever, but you might want to be careful because you have a record, and this could get you expelled if it comes back, so just be careful. And once again, Owen tries to call his dad, but again, this is where we get his dad's phone ringing and him just being like, oh, hold on a second. It's not important, it's just my son. And puts him to voicemail again, like a true fucking dick. But Owen receives an instant message from someone calling themselves the Wolf, saying, be careful what you wish for. But he assumes it's one of the people in the group, and Tom comes in. Tom denies it, says likely Dodger, who started the whole thing anyway because she likes to pull pranks. Cut over to Dodger. They find her doing swim practice, and we see them throwing some ice in the water, and then Dodger pretends to get hurt, so Owen dives in to help her because he thinks she's actually hurt, and we get a little, gotcha, ha ha ha. Not so funny, is it? And then, of course, it turns into everyone deflecting and denying who's actually sending things, and that she's been busy with swim practice. And she thinks it might be Graham, because he called out Graham and got him eliminated first with the whole tell with the empty beer thing. So Owen confronts Graham, but Graham is doing a study group, and he tells him, I've been here all day, and I filed a noise complaint because your room's above mine, and it sounds like you guys were doing fucking wrestling practice upstairs. And he gets back to his room, and Tom's side of the room is all trashed. And he's like, you son of a bitch, why would you fucking do this? And then they get another message, and over on the computer, they find Randall's tongue stud ring. And they're like, that's strange. So they call Regina, because she does all the special effects stuff. And she's like, no, I've been on a field study all day. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But that's going to be a reoccurring fucking theme. But then we cut over to Owen. He's confronting Dodger again, and we get a backstory that Dodger's from the town, and being a townie gets you looked down upon. And no one talks about he was actually expelled not for dating the dean's daughter, but because she had weed on her, and he took it for her to cover, and then he got in trouble, and then it was a whole thing. But then we get our first look at the actual killer as a man in a ski mask walks by. And they go try to find him, and they don't find anyone, and then they think they're behind him. And then it turns out it's just the librarian, who does give a fun little line, who thinks they're trying to make out secretly. And she's like, "Try German philosophy. No one will bother you there." But it's just, because, fun. So yeah, they end up going back outside. They argue a bit more about who might be doing it. And Owen tries to call Randall's date. And turns out Randall never actually made it for their date, so it raises more suspicion about he's probably the one behind everything. But he heads off to find Dodger because they made a whole thing about going on a date, and so he wrote down on a $20 bill because she's like, as long as it's not over 20. But he writes it down, this is for our date, and he goes to find her. He's told that she's at Professor Walker's office about her paper that's due, and he sees something that he wasn't supposed to. Yeah, she be banging the teacher. That's a rough one, man. That's a rough one. You fall in love with a girl and then find out she's actually into way older men. So that's unfortunate. But the next day, Owen grabs his book, and as he's pulling out his book in Professor Walker's class, a knife falls out, and he gets in trouble. And Walker's going to turn him into the dean. He's like, you've had your chances. Like, you're totally fucked. But then Owen uses the leverage from last night of, like, I saw you, told ya. And gets himself out of trouble that way, But that night, it's the Halloween dance. But Owen has to work, and he's kind of pissed off with everyone in the group because of the game and how he's been treated, and then also, fuck Dodger. And he ends up telling Dodger off about, like, yeah, you go to the dance by yourself, or whatever, I have to work. But while he's at work, he ends up getting attacked by the killer! Yeah, and then he manages to get away. He runs up to the dance, and he runs into Lewis and Regina, and they're like, yeah, I don't know, like, Randall's back because Tom's car's back, so I don't know, maybe just go move his car and then you can get back at everyone, whatever. So he goes to do that, but then turns out there's a killer inside the car. Oh no! And he starts running away, and there's campus security officers, and they pull their guns, and they're just ready to shoot the killer, and turns out it's Mercedes. And she's like, it's just a joke, man. It's just a joke. Don't shoot. So, yeah, they all get in trouble. Says the next day, the entire group ends up getting pulled into the dean's office, one by one. And when Owen gets there, she's like, yeah, Mercedes explained the whole prank and everything. Like, you all are fucking stupid as shit. But I'm going to give you the weekend to let me think this over of how to approach what to do here. Luckily for you, Professor Walker stood up for you in his defense, and you're lucky. I'd expel you on the spot otherwise. Professor Walker probably did that for a very specific reason, if we're going to be completely fucking honest here. But Owen sends a message out to the group to meet at the chapel, and when they get there that night, they explain everything is become real. He thinks the actual killer's out there, and that they made a huge mistake by making the story. No one owns up to being the wolf, but they all start running through like, oh, well, we did the tongue stud, and we did this, did that. Like, everything else that's been going on, they own up to, like, yeah, we did that, did this, he did that, she did this, and it was like a whole thing. And then Dodger's all like, yeah, he's probably the one who's doing it, and he's just playing the game by throwing suspicion. And then Owen brings up that he saw her with Professor Walker and cuts her real deep. And then she turns around and goes, well, I was ending things because of you. But anyway. So, like, he ruins a shot with the girl. But in all fairness, I mean, how, what the fuck? Just what the fuck? This fucking movie. But anyway, we then get Lewis on the phone with Mercedes, and because that's his girl, and they're sending sexy pics back and forth. But, oh no, Mercedes gets got by the killer.
You okay?
Tom just scared the crap out of me. Still pissed about your car, Tommy boy?
Hey, what's going on, man?
We heard you shout.
Mercy, Tom's here. In the chapel.
So Owen freaks out because this was the first kill of the story, is a girl in a bathroom. And he's like, we need to get everyone out of here, blah, blah, blah. Lewis runs over to try to save Mercedes. And then as they're all trying to figure out how they're going to get out of there, they find Randall dead in the confession booth. And Owen runs off to find Dodger. Tom and Regina are going to his car, and Tom's like, you have 20 minutes, and then we're leaving with or without you, man. So, yeah, and Owen runs over to the girls' dorm, and he finds Lewis, who leans over the railing, and he gets got by the killer. Oh, fucking no.
Lewis, are you okay?
Mercy, she's gone. I surprised him. I think I heard him, but...
Yeah, hold on, I'll be right there.
No! Get help!
Tom and Regina are waiting, we have to get...
Yeah, and then Owen hears a scream. He thinks it's Dodger, runs off, and he can't seem to find her. So he runs back outside down to the car, and they take off without him. Those fucking dickheads. Those fucking dicks. But anyway, he sees the Professor Walker's lights on in his building, so he runs off that way. He's like, I need to figure out help anyway. Maybe Professor Walker can help. He gets into the office, and Dodger's calling. And she starts explaining she found Mercedes dead and what's going on. And tells him, and she ends up telling Owen, like, hey, he keeps car keys in his desk. Like, try to find him, and we can use his car to get out of here. But then Dodger gets attacked as she's approaching. And Owen is just, he's not doing good, right? Like, he's seen everybody die. He's not doing the greatest. And, he ends up finding a gun in the fucking desk, and he's like, well, at least I have this. I'll keep myself safe. And as he's getting himself all that, Walker ends up coming back, and he's like, I'm going to walk in. Don't do anything stupid now. Just come on. And he comes in, and he's holding the mask and the coat, so Owen starts suspecting he's the killer, and that he's been doing this the entire time. And he's like, no, I just found it in the stairwell. Like, calm the fuck down, man. Put the fucking gun down. And they struggle back and forth, and oh no! He gets shot, and it's, oh my god, he killed Walker. And then turns out, oh no, man, it was just a prank, bro.
No, it was just for fun. We done it. We've been playing this game, and we decided that we decided to work together tonight. We were trying to scare Owen and Mercedes because they got everyone in trouble before. But, listen, we didn't think that anything was gonna happen.
How could you let Graham do that to me?
Maybe I didn't even know about it till I left the chapel. Dodger wasn't supposed to hit me that hard.
Why did you hide when Mr. Walker showed up? Why didn't you say something?
I fucking hate this ending. I fucking hate this movie so much. That, like, that is how this movie decides to go through its ending. It's just, it was just a prank, bro. Like, we were all working together. We didn't mean for it to go this far, man. Like, oh, fuck, man. It just, God fucking damn it. But anyway, at the police station, Owen meets back up with his father, and he starts explaining to his father, like, I don't know, it was just a big misunderstanding, blah, blah, blah. I'm being let off because He doesn't end up getting charged with anything to let him go because they're like, yeah, it was a mistake. But also, turns out that gun was used to kill the girl. We were able to trace it with the bullet that we had. And so we're going to let you go. Turns out he may have been a killer anyway. So, good for Owen. But as he leaves, he meets Dodger, who tells him, I'm sorry I got you involved with this. But Owen puts it all together.
You knew I'd shoot him.
Well, that's crazy.
Really? I thought it was the object of the game.
Avoid suspicion. Manipulate your friends. Eliminate your enemies.
Honestly, I wouldn't even if that were true. Who would believe you?
Dumbest fucking ending ever! Dodger put the whole thing together, the whole movie's plot in motion, all because of some revenge because Professor was fucking someone else. And remember how I said that ending would be important, because it does end showing that Dodger is the one that shot the girl, and that is all true. He figured it all out. But also, how does she think she got away with this? Why does no one in the police station turn ahead and be like, what was that? She's the killer. No one fucking hears them, even though everyone is in fucking earshot. This movie's so fucking dumb. I fucking hate this movie so fucking much. I saw this when I was younger, shortly after it had come out, and as a young child, I was like, that movie was kind of cool. And then I rewatched it a couple years later, and I couldn't find it for the longest time, because this movie just doesn't fucking exist, because it's really bad, and no one fucking plays it. But it was marketed as a slasher movie, that there's a killer that becomes real and starts killing everyone. And then it just turns into a shitty fucking early days YouTube prank gone wrong, bro. It's fucking stupid. It's actually a mystery thriller that they try to make a fake slasher. And again, they marketed it as a slasher. So this movie's just fucking stupid as shit. I fucking hate it. I hope it burns in hell. And I hope I never have to fucking watch it again in my entire life. Who knows? Maybe there will be something we do with What an Oddcast and we do something about it. I don't know. But I'm fucking angry. So let's go over it, shall we? Don't gene spice animals. Don't bring things back from the dead. Don't fucking prank your friends about a fake goddamn killer. Don't bury the dead under the road. Don't dump chemicals in the water. Stay out of the water. Stay on. Stay happy. I'll see you on the next one. Fucking dumb as shit plot.